Nobody expected Manchester United to become one of the most hated teams in football. Not because they were small, and not because they were weak, but because for years they were the club that kept winning, kept taking trophies, and kept breaking hearts. For Manchester United fans, it was a golden era. But for everyone else, United became the villain of English football. And the truth is, they were hated for more than just success. They were hated for what they represented: power, dominance, arrogance, controversy, and the feeling that no matter what happened, they always found a way to win. Welcome back to GameBlueprint. Today, we're diving into one of football's most fascinating stories. Why was Manchester United hated by so many fans across the football world? How did one of the biggest clubs on earth become the team everyone loved to hate? To understand that, we have to go back to the rise of their modern empire, because this was never just about football. It was about dominance, fear, rivalry, and the kind of success that makes everyone desperate to see you fail. Manchester United were already one of England's biggest clubs long before the Premier League era. They had history, tradition, and a powerful identity built through triumph and tragedy. But being a big club doesn't automatically make everyone hate you. What changed everything was the arrival of Sir Alex Ferguson. When he took charge in 1986, few could have imagined what would come next. After a difficult start, Ferguson built a machine. In 1993, United won the league for the first time in 26 years. That title changed everything. From that moment on, Manchester United became the dominant force in English football. They didn't just win once or twice. They kept winning. Premier League titles, domestic cups, European nights, and of course the legendary treble in 1999. Ferguson's United became a team that seemed impossible to stop. And that was the first reason people hated them. In football, when one team wins again and again, admiration quickly turns into resentment. Fans of rival clubs don't want to watch the same side lift trophies every season. And Manchester United became the team standing in everybody's way. But success alone wasn't enough to make them villains. It was the way they won that made things worse. United had an aura that terrified opponents. Old Trafford became a stadium where teams felt beaten before kickoff. If United were losing with 10 minutes left, nobody believed the game was over. In fact, that was often when they were most dangerous. This is where the famous phrase "Fergie Time" was born. For rival fans, it became the perfect symbol of Manchester United's power. Extra time would be added, United would keep attacking, and somehow a late goal would arrive. Sometimes it was deserved. Sometimes it felt impossible. But to everyone else, it looked like United always had something on their side. That belief created one of the biggest reasons for the hatred around the club. Rival supporters became convinced that referees favored Manchester United. Whether it was soft penalties, extra stoppage time, or pressure inside Old Trafford, many believed United got decisions other teams simply didn't. Fair or unfair, the image stuck. And once fans start believing the system helps you win, the resentment only grows stronger. Then there was the personality of the team itself. Ferguson was ruthless. He fought with referees, journalists, and rival managers. Roy Keane played with fury. Gary Neville loved winding opponents up. Wayne Rooney brought aggression, passion, and chaos. This was not a team built to be liked. It was a team built to dominate. Manchester United didn't just want to beat you. They wanted to crush your title hopes, silence your fans, and remind the whole league who was in charge. For neutrals, that often looked like arrogance. But for United, it was the mentality that built an empire. And the hatred didn't stop on the pitch. Off the field, Manchester United became one of the biggest sports brands in the world. Their shirts were everywhere. Their sponsors were everywhere. Their fanbase exploded across the globe. They were no longer just a football club, they were a global machine. For United supporters, that was a sign of greatness. For rival fans, it was unbearable. Manchester United became impossible to escape. Even if you supported another club, football coverage often felt dominated by United stories, United debates, and United headlines. The bigger they became, the more people wanted to see them fall. Their fanbase also became part of the reason they were hated. Because United were winning so much, rival fans accused them of attracting glory hunters, supporters who followed the club only because of trophies and success. That stereotype became one of the biggest insults aimed at Manchester United. And because the club's fanbase was so massive, the stereotype spread even further. Every loud celebration, every boast about trophies, every argument about history only made rivals more desperate to see the club lose. But then the story changed. After years of being hated for winning too much, Manchester United started being hated for something very different, what they became off the pitch. In 2005, the Glazer family completed their takeover of the club, and everything began to shift. The takeover placed huge debt onto Manchester United itself, and supporters were furious. Protests followed. Green and gold scarves became symbols of resistance. Some fans were so angry that they even formed FC United of Manchester as a breakaway club. This is where the story becomes more complicated. For years, United had been the bully of English football, the giant everyone wanted to see humbled. But under the Glazers, they became a giant carrying deep internal damage. They were still rich, still famous, still one of the biggest clubs in the world, but cracks were beginning to appear beneath the surface. Ferguson somehow kept the machine running. He kept winning titles and competing in Europe, masking problems that would only become obvious after his retirement. When Sir Alex Ferguson left in 2013, Manchester United lost the man who had held everything together. And what happened next changed everything. Without Ferguson, the club's problems were exposed. Managers came and went. David Moyes failed quickly. Louis van Gaal struggled to excite. Jose Mourinho brought trophies but also conflict. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gave fans hope, but couldn't complete the rebuild. United spent huge money on transfers, but too many signings failed. Rivals like Manchester City and Liverpool moved ahead. Old Trafford aged. The structure of the club looked confused. Suddenly, the team once hated for perfection was now being mocked for dysfunction. And strangely, that didn't reduce the hatred. It made it worse in a different way. Rival fans who had spent years watching United dominate finally got their revenge. Every bad transfer, every humiliating defeat, every ownership protest became entertainment for the rest of football. The club that once caused pain to everyone else was now providing the football world with a different kind of satisfaction. The 2021 European Super League disaster added even more anger. Manchester United were one of the clubs backing the project, and for many fans across Europe, it confirmed everything they already disliked about football's biggest institutions. The Super League was seen as greed, power, and an attempt to protect elite clubs from failure. United weren't alone, but because of their size and history, their involvement made the backlash even stronger. And that's the key to this entire story. Manchester United are hated because they matter. In football, people don't spend decades talking about a club they don't care about. They don't celebrate your defeats unless your victories once caused them real pain. Manchester United became hated because they represented everything people either admired or despised. They were the team of late winners, title races, stars, swagger, and relentless success. Then they